everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Premier League panel show. Matchweek 6 is in the books, and we're here to talk about that. There should be a lot of banter going back and forth this week with Arsenal and Tottenham playing. Villa had a huge week. So did Liverpool. So overall, I think happy faces all around. We'll see the guys on the bottom of the screen, how happy they are. But this week, we have Shay with us with Villa. What's going on?
Doing good. How are y'all?
Man, like it's been a hectic day with the. Oh, by the way, I probably shouldn't bring it up, but we'll talk about the League Cup a little bit. I want to kind of get your guys' take on. Probably not a good day for you for a League Cup there, Shay. But Jake with the Spurs, what's happening?
Hey, doing well. Nothing like a 2-2 victory.
You called that too, didn't you? Weren't you?
I did. 2-2 was my prediction, so I'll take my plaudits. Thank you.
Alan, you were not with us last week. You're back in action with Arsenal. How did this weekend treat you?
Unfortunately, it was a 2-2 draw. The last time I checked, Arsenal only celebrate draws at White Hart Lane when they win the league. So that's...
This should be a fun one. Okay, let's go. Let's get to the past week right away with the scores. Probably like go through the games a little bit, but let's start with in terms of like the overall view. Shay, do you think you guys have the biggest upset of the week, or should we not take those Chelsea games as an upset anymore?
I mean, it's still an upset. Like I said, they're a $500,000 squad. You know, a little 10-pot team. We're nowhere near that money spent, but it was a good game. Ollie's finally on the board. I know his confidence was a little low there, so it's good to see him finally firing again.
When you guys go into a game like that, like as a Villa fan, are you looking at the game like, man, they're like wounded animals, just finish them off? Or are you looking at them like they're wounded animals, they can strike back, they're due? Is there a worry to it, or is there like this?
I mean, like, looking over they definitely struggled, but you still can't take every game lightly. And I feel like, they're still the big club that they are. I know we joke about them all the time, but you still got to take it serious. I think Emery understands that and told them, like, hey, they're not the best right now, but doesn't mean that we are better than them either. So I think he took that very well. We won that game. It was a very good performance from Emmy. That's why he showed he's the best goalkeeper in the world, truly. I mean, half the stops that he made were unreal. So I'll take it.
I don't know about that last part, but yeah, he did not. I did see him, Maggie. I can't stand it personally, but I think I'm the majority probably. I don't know. Jake, anything? Do you consider the Villa game? Because you were like, not really when I was saying that. What's the score that you were like, wow, this took me by surprise?
The Villa game, I think I mentioned it last week. That wouldn't have been an upset ahead of time going into it, knowing that Chelsea are just not the Chelsea that they used to be, which I don't know what that means anymore. I don't know what Chelsea used to be, but they're not a good team. But I guess I don't know. I think Tottenham going into the Emirates and getting a point where they historically don't do well. I think that was a big result, as I joked about in the opening. And I think the biggest result for Arsenal this week was actually the Man City game because they don't have to face Rodri in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I mean they have actually a tough schedule. They're going away to Wolves, and then they have like the midweek game in the Champions League, and then they play Arsenal and Brighton. I'm assuming since this was a direct red, and since he was like choking somebody, I'm assuming that would be at least 3 games. But it is City. They have people where they should be. You never know. Guy from the Premier League will be in the embassy one day, and then they'll come back and they'll say 1 game. So you never know how that stuff goes. Alan, what's got you this week in terms of results?
Villa beating Chelsea. Honestly, I thought that was going to be a draw, but Chelsea's just going to keep on Chelseaing this year. They're going to have this $1 billion squad and just keep on losing or drawing games where they should probably win them. Newcastle coming out and just, saying F all to, their poor form over the last over the last 5 weeks and just coming in and scoring 8-0 is unbelievable. Luton got their first point, and good for Luton.
Honestly, Everton scoring 3 goals in one game is an upset by itself, and that's a huge win on that part of the table. I think. Like I say, the Villa game. I think, if we look at this thing in the beginning of the season, and if I gave you these results, I think most would probably pick Villa win as the biggest upset. But with the recent form, it's probably not as big of an upset. But I thought Everton grabbing 3 points, not only I didn't expect it to happen, I think it was more, it's huge. I mean, 3 points over there, you're set for like 10 weeks. You don't have to do anything now on the bottom of the league. The way, Sheffield, Luton, and the other guys go. So let's go a bit more game by game. You mentioned it, Jake, so we'll go with you. Does this give hope to others like Arsenal, Liverpool, and Tottenham in terms of City losing points? Because let's face it, they're not as deep as they used to be. They do have a couple of injuries. And Rodri really makes everything tick in that midfield. So him missing is a huge piece missing.
Yeah, they haven't dropped points yet, but it could be in the near future. I think Arsenal will be their first big test. And, if a draw comes out of that game, I think that's a win for everyone else around them. So, I think we got to wait and see. And I don't think Calvin Phillips is a great replacement. We saw it today in the League Cup. So I think it might be, I guess, does the League Cup count towards his ban?
Yes.
Or no?
It should, yeah.
Does it? I thought it didn't. I thought it doesn't because
It probably doesn't. I thought it's domestic. It probably wasn't.
Because Van Dijk played in the cup, even though he was not.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I believe.
Okay. So then he still got.
So wait though, that was Europa. I'm all confused now. But I thought it was totally separate in terms of like how they did the accumulation of the cards and the red card and stuff like that. But I hope not, because I was really hoping that they would be missing him for Brighton as well.
I think it does. Thinking back to last year, the whole Nick Pope in the Carabao Cup final situation.
Right.
So I didn't see Rodri today in the squad. So I think he's only got 2 more, but he's still out for Arsenal, which is big for the Gunners.
That helps them out. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw the incidents. Shay, what do you make of that? I mean, we were talking about it in our regular Premier League show. And initially, honestly, in like first reaction, I kind of thought, he made a meal out of it and then just flew off. He didn't do anything. Slow motion, obviously, you see the choke motion and stuff. Yeah. But it's the beginning of the half. They're in the corner flag. There's really nothing going on. I mean,
it's just a hothead player losing his temperament. And then, when you win for so long, you get away with a lot of calls. The refs allow it to happen. I think they're finally coming all together a little bit. And like I said, Rodri's, like I said, I know we've discussed this before. He's a hothead. He goes in a lot of challenges. I think it was just definitely a lapse in judgment. But, I like that as a straight red. Finally, they see it. So hopefully they realize that, hey, these players can't get away with this stuff. And slow motion definitely makes everything look 100 times worse. But I'm glad that we have it, because it actually showed everybody, like, hey, this was pretty bad. You shouldn't have done this.
And I think that's a good point that you make, because once you have this on your records, I think it affects future calls as well. Because some players get away with stuff all the time. Some players can't even cough next to another dude without getting a card. So, so were you celebrating that red card then, Alan, over there? Like, brought out the old Arsenal gear and be like, this is a good thing for us?
I mean, it's going to be a good thing for us when we play them. Not having Rodri, also I don't think they have De Bruyne too, right? De Bruyne
still hurt.
No, he's gone.
Yeah,
they're missing a lot of pieces.
They're missing a lot of pieces.
Situation, but
I am of the personal belief that in order to beat the man, you need to beat the man, and that means that I would rather beat City when City is at full strength. That being said, Arsenal also has like a lot of injuries, so. We'll see. I need to see something out of that game now, especially that Rodri's gone. I won't settle for a point. I think some of you guys said a draw is fine. I want the win. I want the 3 points against City.
Oh, I'm sure you want the win. We're okay with the draw, I think. I think if somebody has to win, I will rather have Lego heads pull out the win, and because I think. No offense to you guys, I feel like Arsenal is a lot more likely to lose points than City down the road. So the more points City loses, I think the better for everyone else.
Well, the better is for you, because you're definitely in the race now.
So let me ask you guys that. See, that's you said that, and as honorable as that is, I am the opposite. Where I will take rather the easiest route possible because you don't get 4 points for winning against a shorthanded team. You still get 3 points. Jake, would you rather face a full strength team or would you rather go the easy route? I think in draws too, like as you guys progress in the cup, I know some people are like, well, you got to beat the best. And I understand that, like Alan's take. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I'd rather like face the best until the very end and just kind of take things easy along the way.
I'm all about the easy route. Yeah, no, give it to me. Put it on a platter. We can take anything we can get, please.
I want this to be clipped for later down the road.
No, I mean, how about you, Shay? I mean, easiest route possible, or because there's a lot of people that believe, like that think like Alan as well. I know, like when we, progress in the Champions League and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, bring them on." And I know sometimes,
I would definitely say for City's sake, it's not easy because even their bench is still very world class players. Yes, they don't play, but he has so much talent it doesn't really matter. So yes, they're not full strength by Pep standards, but they still have a lot of quality. So a win is a win against City, no matter how you look at it.
So let's talk about the big game over here. I think United was kind of lucky to grab those 3 points. We kind of like touched upon. I was going to ask Alex about the Fulham game and what he thought, if it was as boring as the highlights and the final thing like for the entire game. But so the big game obviously was the London Derby, Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. Alan, is that a point lost? I mean, is that 2 points lost, especially the way, the tying goal came in and stuff like that?
I think that's 2 points lost. I will not be of one and say that there are excuses here to be said. There's no but.
And then the excuses.
They were up 2-1. Jorginho is still a professional. He is a Premier League player. He needs to get down and finish and not make mistakes that lead to goals. Whereas, there can be multiple people that will say that, oh, we need Rice. We didn't have Rice. We didn't have Timber. We didn't have this, that. We played midweek. No, this is Arsenal Tottenham. You come to play to win the game. And I don't care if it's one of the under 15 kids coming up and playing in a Premier League game for the first time. If it's against Tottenham, you come to win. And if you come to draw, that is a disappointment. So, big ups to Tottenham. You got us when we were down. You got us when Jorginho made a mistake. But that being said, we still need to win these games, especially when it's in the Emirates, especially when it's against Tottenham. So,
and I think that's what makes it more of a win is the fact that it's away, Jake.
Yeah, definitely. And we're used to in the recent history Arsenal kind of dominating the game, especially when it's at home for them. And I wouldn't say that the 2 points were lucky by any means. I know the second goal was a mistake by a midfielder, but I mean Arsenal's very scary 46% possession was not controlling by any means. Outside of the extra time in the second half when they got all those corners, I was not worried about conceding a third, and I thought that we were going to be more likely to get the winner. So I joked early on about it being a 2-2 win, but I do think that there is more to Tottenham and that they very well could have gone and snatched all 3 points there.
Yeah, I mean, I have not watched the full game, so I'm kind of like relying on your guys' honesty over here because I don't know why that was not the afternoon game. Maybe they knew if people want to watch goals, they could see Newcastle just pillage Sheffield over there, and they put that in the afternoon. That makes no sense to me when they're like, I thought, Liverpool, West Ham, hey, Chelsea, Villa. I mean, they were like a lot better games, I thought, in terms of putting in the afternoon solo by itself. But, Alan, who do you think actually was the better team at the end of the day? Let the bias begin.
No, at the end of the day, it definitely did look like Tottenham was the better team, unfortunately. It's just, I think these kids will just be like, and I say kids, I'm 34. The rest of the team, Arsenal is like 25, 20, 24. as on average, but I think these guys like.
Yeah, we try not to bring up age as much as possible.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just don't think these guys came to play the occasion. They came thinking that oh, we just got the big win last week. We got a good win against PSV in the Champions League. We're just gonna walk all over them, and then lo and behold, they immediately get Tottenham immediately scores after Saka scored that, or Romero scored an own goal for us, and then you go into the second half and you lose a great player like Rice, and then now the midfield isn't to the way it should be, and then it all falls apart with Jorginho making a mistake. And I think after that, the pressure was on Arsenal to hold on to that draw instead of winning the game. So it is unfortunate. I don't think we got the best Arsenal that day, but at the same time, that's just an excuse. You still need to win these games.
Jake, that sounds like he's giving you guys the props over there. I mean, did you feel like shouldn't you be like 2 points lost then?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that with it being Arsenal away and Arsenal in their recent form. But I think if you just look at it in a vacuum and that game by itself, I think we played slightly better than Arsenal, and I think we had the better opportunities to take all 3 points. And I do agree it should be disappointing for Arsenal as well, because they're further along in their project with Arteta. We're still in the infancy with Postecoglou, and Arsenal's in the bratty teenage years, which is epitomized by the Lego head manager that they have waving his arms on the sideline.
His name is Stick and Lovitz. Go ahead.
But yeah, no, I think it was a great matchup, and it was just a classic North London derby with pretty much both equalizers coming right after the other goal. So I don't think you can ask for more as a neutral fan.
Speaking of a neutral fan, Shay, how did you view it? Do you think it's like you see the scoreline? I don't know how much of it you saw, but do you take that as that's a win for Spurs, or does it say more about Spurs to you, or does it say more about Arsenal to you?
A little bit of both. Like I said, definitely when you lose Declan Rice, how Alan was saying, it's a big piece. He has been very influential for that team. And how Jake said, Spurs are finally building, so like they're going to take this as a huge momentum. Like, hey, we've had our issues. We lose the best striker that we've ever had, and one of the best strikers in the league, and here we are still running along and actually doing really well with the brand new manager. So it's a win definitely for Spurs team morale, and then a little bit of a question mark for Arsenal, but that's how Arsenal also built up, because for them to be champions, you have to have these. You're gonna have these matches sometimes. This is where they build from that. How's Arteta gonna respond this weekend with the injuries that he's got to deal with?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, I think, too, right? I mean, there's there are nagging ones, and we're entering a period where you want to be healthy because you're not going to come out of the other side healthy.
Yep.
But if you kind of go into it with several injuries, it's going to be rough going because you can't rotate as much, obviously.
And it's kind of hard too, because like I said, international break just ended, so that's the time when everybody's trying to get healthy. If you get hurt first game after break, it's always tough. So did they go too hard in international team play or training? And now, like I said, you got to deal with this, especially with Europe starting and all this cup matches finally getting. There's a lot of games coming up, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's sticking. I mean, I was looking at the schedule. It's like, holy cow, it's like a game every 3-4 days. So this is not the time to have those injuries, I guess, because until the next international break is what you're probably looking at trying to make. But yeah, looking at that game in terms of the final score, I mean, I was only able to watch the highlights, but I do take that more of as a win for Spurs, because it was more Arsenal's game to lose on paper, at least, because we're talking about in terms of projects. Spurs, I think, getting a draw there at points, probably not. But if you asked most Spurs fans, I think you would be happy with, yeah, we'll take the point. That's fine. This is going really well over here. Does that worry you, Alan? That in terms of the title race, does it worry you that these hiccups are happening? That obviously City rarely loses points, so every time you lose points, it's almost like you're 3 weeks behind or 5 weeks behind.
Yeah, we've already lost in total 4 points out of a possible. My math is horrible. 18, right?
18. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'll look at the
I
table.
was about to
Yeah,
put the calculator.
I'm kind of looking at the table. I'm helping you out, buddy.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, we lost already 4 points to 18. You know, Fulham for sure. We shouldn't have lost those points. This weekend we shouldn't have lost those points. Just a couple mistakes here and there, allowing teams to get back in it, allowing teams to be in a situation where they can score on us and hope and give them a little bit of hope. That being said, I think last year we lost a big game to United in 3-1, I think it was, to them. And then that's what turned the season around. And I'm hoping that this is what happens with Tottenham, that this is the match where they go, you know what, we need to get our shit together. It doesn't matter that Rice was off injured for that second half. It doesn't matter none of this is, we don't have Martinelli and all this stuff, but like we need to like get our shit together if we want to win this league. And that's the important goal of this season, I think, is to finish what wasn't done last season. And either that's the Premier League or the Champions League, they have to come out and win something, I think, this season to show the fruits of their labor. I mean, they have put in the work. They have done a lot over the last 4 years under Arteta. To come out this season without anything would actually not be good. But I think we can do something. So I'm not worried. It's just I think these hiccups were going to happen no matter what, and I think now they have to show that they can overcome them.
Yeah, you sound more angry than disappointed, I'll be honest. Like, because you would sound more angry at the team. The
I hate losing to Tottenham. And this was a draw.
So on your guys' side, Jake, does this say, man, maybe we can make a title run? Or this is just enjoy it while it's going?
I think we just enjoy it, while it lasts, because I don't think we're catching City. I think definitely Liverpool have better chances at doing that. But, that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Postecoglou said early on in an interview that success is not winning a cup trophy and relying on that for 10 years. It's consistently being good and having success over a long period of time. And I agree. So I think we just got to build towards that, get top 4 or top 5, whatever gets us Champions League, and then go from there and keep doing that every year. And that'll be defined as a success and not just one one-off trophy and then going back to being mediocre.
And Shay, do you, as you look from outside to the title race, who do you see realistically challenging City? We're assuming City is going to be the one to be challenged.
Yeah, I mean, with their current setup, like I said, with the injuries, I think it's Liverpool's to not, step up and try to, at least match them. I think they can. You guys are looking really well. Brighton, they've been very consistent. It's just how long can they last? And so it's Spurs and Arsenal. I think they're all gonna challenge for that top 3. I know Arsenal wants the 1 and 2, but like Alan said, they gotta come away with something this year. So what is the focus? I know it's still very early, but are they gonna go push for that that much eluded Champions League and just say focus on this and still maintain your top 4, which is nothing wrong with that, but then get the silverware. Kind of like how Jake said, you want to win something to be consistent. Like I said, Arsenal's at that point now. They just need to decide the league or Champions League. I think, after that, between 3, 4, and 5, it's just going to be a toss-up just because all these teams are actually doing really well. And we know United and Chelsea are just they're out of it at the moment. So I think we'll might see a very unique top 3 through 7 this year.
I think Europe throws a curveball in terms of how it affects teams, too.
Yeah, because I think this year, doesn't 5 get a Champions League spot this year?
5 gets a Champions League as well. And so it's going to be interesting because, the way Brighton is playing, the way Tottenham are, and obviously, despite injuries, Arsenal, despite hiccups, is going to be up there. Mm-hmm. Liverpool, yeah, we're doing well right now, so let's not jinx it. Let's not talk about it much and keep moving. And obviously, Villa has Villa become the team we expected them to be, Shay? or are you
Yes
still like?
and no. I would say after today's little League Cup fiasco, I think Emery, this one's on him. He gambled again on just a different formation, and it just shows you that our bench is really not that good. But like I said at the beginning of the season, we went in very thin. I like what we had, but one left back at the club is not going to cut it. You can't have Luka Dean play 8 games in a row. It's like, let's put John McGinn at left back today. That was really stupid. So that's definitely on Emery today. Like, I love the man to death. I was like, that was really kind of dumb. Like, let's put an attacking mid, my holding midfielder at left back who's never played there before, and just go with it. So.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys is how you guys, because we had a lot of conversation obviously throughout this week about the League Cup, how you guys view the League Cup. I mean, now obviously only 2 of us are still in there, but like going into the season, Jake, do you look at that, especially as like a Spurs fan? I mean, we talked about trophies and stuff. We kind of were talking about it earlier today in one of our shows in terms of, it might not be the biggest trophy, but it's the starting point to get some silverware. So was that something like as a Spurs fan with a new manager, you were like, hey, maybe if you go after this, then you go after the league or you go after Europe, whatever. It's like a building block. Or are you almost glad it's out of the way so you can focus on other stuff?
Yeah, it's tough to say at this point because we're out of it. I can't remember exactly how I felt at the beginning of the season, but I think outside of the Community Shield, it's definitely the smallest trophy. So like, obviously it's tough to say like, oh, we don't want that trophy as a Spurs fan, when they're not coming quick and fast. So I don't know. I would have liked to be in it, especially because it's the easiest trophy to win because you play a lot less games in the FA Cup, and especially this season now that City's out. I mean, if you look at Fulham's draw after they beat us, they played Norwich at home, and now they're playing Ipswich next. Yep. So if that was us, like we would, just like easily into the last 8, and it was just a big opportunity missed. And I don't know. I think you have to have your priorities, and obviously that Postecoglou quote, shows that he's not interested in just getting that one easy trophy.
Do you think he's saying that so that this is a team that already struggles with not getting there, like getting their hands on a trophy? You think he's actually means that, or it's just like, you know what, let's keep the expectations low? It's kind of like me saying everything is going good, let's not even freaking talk about it.
That definitely keeping expectations low. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Managers like try to say the right thing every single time. And he's like, oh, I want to win every competition. And then he made 9 changes ahead of that Fulham Cup game. So it's like, I don't know if that was like he thought we could still beat Fulham with 9 different players from our Premier League match. But I don't know. It's tough being out of it and seeing who's left because after, Man United and Newcastle play, I think there's one other bigger Premier League match. It's kind of slim pickings.
West Ham and Arsenal eliminating each other.
Yep. That's the other one.
It looks, and that was our thing, I guess. Well, Shay, I mean, how bummed are you, I guess, in terms of that? Or do you not even care? You're like, good, this out of the way.
So, like I said, I even said that pretty sure at the beginning when we talked about this. Like, I'd rather focus on the Europa Conference because, it's a European trophy, it helps you get into the next stage. I know Emery said he wanted to win a domestic trophy. He wants to win it all too, kind of like Jake said, but you got to prioritize. Like I said, FA Cup, we're still in it. That's the one that you really want to win for your domestic trophy besides the league. So, maybe he'll focus on that. But for us at our current standing is just maintain that top 10 and then do what West Ham did, pull out the Europa League Conference and win a European little trophy. So that'll be nice. So I'm not too worried about it. On to the next one.
That was honestly like out of today's scores, that was one I was like, wait, what?
Oh, I was surprised too. I was like, wow. Is the team that struggled very well, the model, Calvert-Lewin finally scoring. Looks like he's, trying again. So here we are.
He's hot.
He's back.
Alan, you guys are on a different boat over here where, in terms of, especially with injuries coming now, does part of you say, damn it, I wish Brentford kind of like pushed us out so we can at least get people healthy and go for the other one? Or is there a trophy that you would want Arsenal to win? Even if it means losing out on the Premier League.
I think it's it's stages, right? You have teams like Tottenham with a new manager who want to lower expectations and come in and build what they have. That's good for them. That's nice. That's how Arsenal was with Arteta coming in. Even I would say that FA Cup win was super early in the process. I mean, we came in 8th that season, and we came in 8th the season after that. So there is truth in being like, oh yeah, here's this one trophy that we won, this one-off, but we don't have anything to build off of it, right? But I think now this is later in that process, and this is where I want Arsenal to be at, is to be competing for each and every single trophy.
Okay.
Like this is what you want. You want to raise the levels. You want to raise it to where winning is a culture and it's a normal thing, right? This is what every team should strive for, is to be competing for all 4 or 5 trophies at the end of the day. So far, we got 1 of 1. So let's see if we can get another one with the Carabao Cup.
Oh, you counted that as a trophy?
You know what? You know what? Whenever they do like we've won the double or anything, or the treble, some teams end up including that first trophy.
Yeah, those are teams that can win actual doubles and triples.
Hey, when Barcelona won the 6 trophies, they won those 6 trophies, they included that Super Cup. They included.
Hey, I mean, if it's your 5th and 6th, more power to you.
Hey man, that's what I'm gonna do.
I'm not letting you count
that.
it.
We're gonna we win 4 trophies this year. I'm gonna count it as a quadruple, all right?
Hey, Jake, I know you have to leave us early today, but before you go, another big test for you guys. And as Brian was saying earlier, it's a huge challenge for Liverpool. I really think this is kind of like a good litmus test for us. I think your guys' litmus test was last week against Arsenal. What are your thoughts on that one, the way both these teams play and how they line up?
Yeah, it's 2 tough back-to-back fixtures for Spurs, teams that we don't do well against historically, and we're kind of cursed against Liverpool. It always seems to be some sort of, obviously there's been some matches where you guys just dominate, but more often than not, it's some sort of fluky goal, like Eric Dyer shouldering it back over his head for Salah to run onto, or Lucas Moura coming on and passing it backwards to Jota.
Great assist to Jota, by the way. That one touch, classic.
There must have been some sort of like Brazilian bad blood between him and Richarlison. He's like, I can't have him have all this glory, and so he just ruins his moment. Anyway, but they're both not going to be in this game, so that's a bad look for Liverpool. You guys should be shaking in your boots. But no, I think this is a great test for us because, we went away and got a point at Arsenal, and now we're defending our home turf against a really good Liverpool team who are, I think, 6 games winning streak? 7? 6?
5. We just draw, like the first one against Chelsea was a draw. We've gone all 5 since.
In all competitions?
Oh, in all competitions, God knows. Yes, I don't.
7 or something?
Yeah, 7. I think about 7 with Europe and the League Cup now.
And they're starting to figure out that midfield, and they're scoring a lot of goals. So it's going to be a real challenging game, and I think it's going to be similar to the Arsenal one, where it's going to be somewhat high scoring. So I don't want to go back to back and say 2-2 again. So I'm gonna go out there, and I'm gonna say Spurs are gonna win it 3-2.
On that note, you can go. we don't need that kind of negativity over here. Thanks a lot, Jake. You take care, man.
Yeah. All right, Jake. See you guys.
See you, Jake.
So I was Brian says, Alan, are you worried about Martinelli having hamstring issues this early?
This is a kid that got back from his last injury with just a bunch of fire in his eyes and ready to just get back on the field. I'm not worried. He'll be fine. I think he's only slated to be out for the next week or so, and then we'll get him back in time for the City match. So we'll see what happens. If I'm wrong about that, that means I didn't read up on it. So,
but I have a question, Alex. How many this is what the 3rd or 4th hamstring injury he's had the last couple of years? Is it a little bit concerning?
It's a little bit concerning, but I think I think these players, especially these youngsters, they they play a lot over at Arsenal, and he's one of the him and Saka. Saka might miss his first Premier League match in 86 games. So this coming weekend, and I hope he does. Honestly, I think we have the players and the strength to play. Not play him against Bournemouth. So hopefully he gets to rest. But Arteta, one of Arteta's weaknesses, I think, is rotating the squad. So yeah.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, is that mainly on like Arteta not rotating enough, like wearing these guys down? Because it's, even if that's the case, isn't it like really early to be worn down? I mean, we're like match 6 over here.
I mean, when you think about it, like soccer in general, football in general, all these players, they play all these matches. They go for a summer break that only really lasts like a month in between the last game and when they go back to training camp. So
they definitely, I feel like they need to do a little bit of, I know I'm not the biggest fan of the NBA doing load management, but for soccer it's different. You're running 90 minutes. It's a little bit more intensive, but so they definitely should rotate a little bit more. Just because like we said, we want entertainment. We want to see these players play. Like I don't want them to be out for 4 months. Like, well,
right.
What could have, kind of how you say, what could have been with the city thing, go back on that point. But, they are also elite athletes. So, like, this shouldn't be happening all the time. So, it makes you wonder, what are they doing in training?
It is a lot of games. I mean, because, and they're going to be only even more games. Like, when the Champions League status and all that kind of, like, the fixtures change. It's almost like between international games and all that kind of stuff. I mean, especially your international players are getting way too much playing. And probably in some ways not enough practice where you like actually like build some of that stuff as opposed to the games where like you actually lose some of that stuff. So they do definitely put a lot of miles on these guys, and you do not want that, like you're saying, Shay, like the NBA ordeal. But there has to be a happy medium, I think, and I think it falls a lot on managers and clubs themselves. I think the larger clubs. I mean, Shay, I'm assuming you're like you're like saying to the big clubs, well, you guys don't have anything to bitch about. Not that Villa's a smaller club and they still spend a lot of money, but the depth of the squad, you need that to be able to rotate it. Otherwise, like you're saying, you sometimes like change pieces and you get a score like against Everton today.
Yep, I kind of agree with Brian on that. The international friendlies, or keep them, but then they need to make a rule like just to get some of our youth kids and other players a chance. Like quit picking the big boys for international friendly when it doesn't mean anything. Now, if it's a qualifier, absolutely, you pick the best talent in the world. But if you're playing San Marco, like, come on, let Jared Bowen, let some of these other English players who've never got an opportunity to play for England, play for America. Like, it's not going to hurt them. Like, you're being a little bit unfair, and like people are like, oh, it's kind of dumb. I was like, but why does it matter? Like, we don't need Harry Kane playing against that team. Yes, it is for his goal tally, but who really cares?
Well, the problem is they figured out, I mean, somebody must have said what you said, and they were like, you know what, let's just reformat these friendlies, because they're not friendlies anymore.
They're making them like mini tournaments.
No.
So they basically, because people were saying, and I think teams were holding back players and stuff like that, they kind of like reworked that. More importantly, to make money for FIFA and stuff like that, they reformatted it into a tournament so that it's not friendly. It's actually, these games count, Shay. Let me ask you guys this, because obviously now it's 3 of us. We all had games today. I don't know if you guys able to watch our games because they were midday. No VAR today. When that news came out, like, well, I'm sure the news had already come out. When I heard the news came out to me, let's say, that there was no VAR. I was like, I don't know if I like that. And I think 2 years ago, I would be a lot less like, oh, I don't know if I like that. But watching, I don't know about your guys' games, but the Liverpool game, the Leicester City goal could be a foul initially, then more than likely it's off. That goes in a little bit later. Bando gets clobbered in the box. We don't get a penalty. VAR. I mean, if you were on the fence, I mean, I was not totally on the fence. I think we can go back now and you need VAR. But I mean, today's games are proof that refereeing has only gotten worse because now they rely on VAR to fix stuff. But I don't know how your guys' game was, Shay, but where are you with that? I mean, when you see that no VAR, I think there's no going back. We have to have VAR, or would you rather go back and say, you know what, there'll be mistakes. I don't want to watch VAR.
No, so I mean, the thing is, the FA pushed this, and the world of football pushed this. So, like, I agree with you because they do it for a lot of the CONCACAF games. Because some of these countries can't afford that. I think that's BS because the nation should either pay for it or the league should pay for it. I don't think the cameras are cost that much money or takes that much setup. They just get lazy. They're like, oh, well, Morcombe and League Two can't afford a VAR camera. Cool. Well,
we just changed the chairs.
Yeah, like cool. Guess what? The FA can be like, hey, if you want to host this match, we will literally retrofit it for just that match, and you have VAR. Like, don't change it and potentially ruin it for that smaller club because like they can't, they don't have the facilities. Like, you're only screwing them over if they have a crucial moment like that. So I think that's just them being lazy. And we've got, like I said, we've gotten accustomed to it. And to your point, the refs have gotten worse, but that's just been over the last couple of years. Like we're seeing all this stuff come out about them, like them blowing calls. They knew they blew it and they just kind of go with it. So I don't know if it's going to get any better. The P, whatever their organization is, doesn't ever come out and say anything. Like they definitely need to go back to training. Like maybe this next summer, like actually sit down and go through a boot camp of like how to actually call games.
This is a ball. Because I think we have to go that far back with some of these guys. But I think, more importantly, like Brian says, VAR works. It's, can it be used a lot better? The use of it, I think, has a lot of improvement to go. But I think we see now that it's definitely needed. We were talking in the pre-match show, and our hope was, it's almost like when you're down a player down to 10 men, everybody kind of focuses a bit more to make up for that. We were hoping the refs, knowing that there is no VAR, would kind of maybe a bit more focused and kind of like, like really get into the game. But I don't know how your guys' game was, Alan, but it was the complete opposite. It just showed very clearly that they do not blow the whistle. They're afraid to blow the whistle because they figure, it'll come back anyway if I miss it.
Yeah. As far as VAR is concerned for the FA, if they're going to push this out and actually have every team or have the Premier League and the Championship have VAR in their leagues, they need to actually subsidize the money for the other two leagues below. It doesn't have to be deep into the Conference League in the 5th tier and below that, but from tiers 1 through 4, from Premier League to League 2, we need to have VAR at all those stadiums. We if it's about money for these teams, then the FA needs to go in and be like, here's some video, like giant screens for you to use here, for everyone to see. And I don't even get that, honestly, because even
iPads.
Yeah, it's all on iPads. And
iPads services, man. They can literally subsidize those.
Yeah, and they don't even show the replay on the big screen for anyone to see. So that, I think that's one of the things they say, they won't do it for small clubs.
I think it's like the whole setup so they can draw the lines and all that kind of stuff. But I think it goes back to what Shay is saying. I mean, when you're doing this after a certain level, you got to pick up the tab and say, you know what, we got this, guys. We'll get it set up.
We'll bring the technology.
We're going to pack it up and take it with us for next season or whatever. But, I don't know. I guess we don't know how much goes into setting it up. But yeah, Brian says that skips the money out of their face pocket. And
they also they promote and relegate referees. So there's referees that'll start in League 2 and work their way up. Give them the tools to be, hey, if this guy's gonna be a professional or Premier League referee, he's at least able to use the technology from League 2 to the Premier
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, so that you know how to use it.
Yeah, but you know how to use it. You have experience.
I have trouble with that. They regulate these referees. I don't know why Paul Tierney hasn't been brought down all the way to League 2 at this point.
Yeah. There's pockets of money going somewhere. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's reasons, probably other reasons for that. Okay, looking ahead to next week. First game up there, Saturday, crack of dawn. That's a really good game to watch. But I hate to tell you, I barely get up for Liverpool games.
I probably won't be able to get up for that one. That's going to be the phone ringing and then my text message going off, and then I'll be waking up going to college game day. So that's not my priority. It is, but it isn't. But I was actually looking at some stats from it. So I don't want to jinx us, but we've actually played Brighton very well, and I've always come out on top. I am a little bit worried after this last match because it's gonna be a knock on them. But if Emery just basically plays the same team again against Chelsea, I think we'll be fine. I'm hoping for at least another 1-0, but I can see it ending 2-1 Villa. So we'll see what happens.
What is your pick for that one? That's a tough one, really. That would really be I think a fun game to watch. But that is too darn early for me.
Yeah.
Alan, what do you have in that game? Villa, Brighton.
I think Villa's playing at home. Yeah, for me, if it was Arsenal playing, I'd do everything in my power to wake up on time. But yeah, I agree. It's 6:30 for me, too early. But I'm going to say I think Villa's going to win just because they're at home. I think I'm also going to say 2-1. But I will say that I was going to say this earlier. Yeah, and Brighton is flying. But it depends on which Emery comes to coach the team. And I think this past weekend we saw, today, I mean, not this past weekend, I think Shea got to see the downsides of Emery. So, yeah.
Which also, like I said, it definitely goes down to depth, though, because like I said earlier, we have one left back at the club right now, which is that's healthy, and he was just trying to make shift with it. But that's also on him, and I don't know if that's him or the operating staff of getting rid of all these youth players. Like, there's no reason to send them out on loan. I mean, I get it, but when you have very little depth, like, let one youth player stay and just try to work his way up. Like, this would have been a perfect match for him to play in instead of putting, like I said, John McGinn at left back. Like, I still can't get over that. Like,
yeah, that is well, I mean, I laugh, but we had Curtis Jones playing right back today.
Yeah, he's still a defender, though. So I know he's not.
He's like a midfielder.
He's not. You're right.
Well, I guess for England, I know in the U21s he was playing more like a defensive mid, like the pivot. But I mean, for us, he plays more the center advanced midfielder. And yeah, he played right back. I think he did really well, and he was the captain and everything today. So pretty impressed with that. I'm pretty happy.
And I will say one point, it was Emery's tactics, but he's also not on the field. So, Dundalker and Robin Olsen making mistakes. That's not on Emery. That's just them being the idiots that they are. And confident. Like, I think he's definitely done with them. So they may 100% be gone in January. It's just, are we going to spend the money to fix that problem or just keep them in there? And just, like I said, they're backups, truly. Like, they haven't played any league matches. This is the first game I've seen Dundalker play since last year. So it is what it is.
And I think if you didn't have Europe, it would be a different scenario. Okay, we're already the League Cup. All we have is the league and the FA Cup and stuff. But when you have the Europe,
I said, I think that's what he's focused on, truly. Which I'll go back on that. We got smoked the other day playing against Liga, whoever it was. Like, just we got caught out. I think he didn't take it as serious. The team that he also picked again was just another let me experiment to let these players get an opportunity to play. I just hey, don't take this for granted. Like, let's go in there strong every week and try to win that. Like, that should be his main priority with the top 10.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes tricky too. Like, I know for Liverpool, even though there's a lot of quality on the pitch, sometimes when you change so many players, it looks so disjointed and it just takes a while to kind of like kick in. I thought today was a good example of that as well, but they made it happen at the end. Going back to the games over here, I'll ask for an upset moving forward, but let's take a look at our games first. Bournemouth, Arsenal. Bournemouth actually away is our League Cup draw over there. Are you worried about that matchup against Bournemouth away? Bournemouth is one of those teams that you never know what you're going to get.
They can be a little bit tricky. They did come and give us a scare last year at the end, towards the end of the season when they came to the Emirates, and we had to celebrate Reece Nelson getting that winner, and we all thought that we were going to win the league at that point because
I didn't want to bring memories.
Hey man, I'll celebrate everything. I'm just as emotional as Arteta looks like on the fields. Like, him and I get along like that. If I could meet the guy, him and I would just get along perfectly. But I think, Brian said it in the chat. Arsenal will be fine. This is the same fixture last year where the Saliba tequila chants started. So we'll get it done. We'll get it done. I think it's gonna be 5-0. And if I'm wrong and Bournemouth surprises me, then
you went 5-0. I thought we'll be fine. I thought it was gonna be like a 2-0, 2-1 win or something.
No, this is the thing is that this Arsenal team needs to come out and just like they did with that PSV match, they need to show everyone that we're still here. We faltered a little bit. We tripped up. We still haven't lost, but we're still we're gonna come out and put on a display here.
I think Arsenal squeaked the win, but definitely not 5-0. If anything, I feel like this could be a game that ends up like 1-1 or something like that, because Bournemouth is one of those teams, like I say, Shay, that they're up and down. It's a different team showing up every week. What do you have for that game?
I'm gonna go with Alan. I think they'll definitely win it. So they are up and down, but I just think the quality that Arsenal has right now is obviously better than Bournemouth.
Yeah.
But don't take them lightly. Like these are the games that you don't take lightly. We know on paper that you're better, but the players also need to realize, hey, let's come down. This is business. Let's win this match very comfortably at all points. Like you said, go for that 5-0. Or if you do the 2-0, but just like a total domination 2-0, like you just be basically Boston midfield the whole time.
Tottenham, Liverpool. Shay, let's start with you on this one. Who do you have? You guys are the neutrals, so.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the way Spurs are, I think they're a little bit flying. So this is going to be, like I said, another test, 2 weeks in a row against the two of the best teams in the league. I think you guys are going to probably pull it off. I could see this one maybe. I'm going with the 2-1 just to be safe. I think they will definitely get a goal. And then you guys are going to, I can't pronounce the name, but the new guy that you guys got just scored the rocket today. He's on fire. I have a feeling. I think he's going to be, getting him a goal again. And the team is finally gelling together. They're getting into that form now. So I'm going 2-1 Liverpool.
I like the sound of that. Alan, what do you have?
3-1 Liverpool.
See, this is why we keep Jake away, so we can just do nice predictions in peace. I think it's going to be a tough one. It definitely is going to be a tough one. I think it's both teams. I see a high-scoring game. The way we defend counters and the way they are susceptible to counters, I think it's going to be depending on who's more clinical. I'm hoping we are. I think this is going to be a good game for Mo to get some goals, and I think we are starting Nunez and Diaz again, and Szoboszlai, man, that guy has been just not only attacking wise, but his overall game. I mean, he's still like in the top 5, I think, in terms of like miles put on, in terms of how much he's ran and stuff like that. I mean, he's a machine when it comes to pressing. He's all over the field. Yeah, he's been rarely for his price tag you can call a player a steal, especially this early. But he's definitely been that one. I wish Alex was here because he would talk about the Fulham-Chelsea game, I am sure. Upsets. Give me an upset that you're expecting this week, Alan.
Ooh.
I'll put it on the screen for you.
Yeah, I've also looked it up myself. Is Man U beating Crystal Palace an upset? No, I'm kidding.
I'm definitely rooting for Palace, but, upset, I don't know what they did. We'll see what happens.
I think Chelsea can probably upset Fulham at this point, maybe. Honestly, I'm not seeing any real upsets here. I think these are all pretty clear cut. If I'm going to make a call here, yeah, that was exactly.
I don't know after they beat us today, though, Brian. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I think Luton can get out of the regulation battle and bring Everton down to it, and get a victory and get their first win. I'll call that one. Maybe Wolves getting a draw against Man City without having Rodri would also be a thing that could happen. So,
yeah, let's put that out in the universe as much as possible because that would be a nice move. But Shay, what are you seeing over here? As much as I want Luton Town to get something out of there, I have a feeling. I mean, they're so.
I would have if we would have beat Everton today. Maybe I would have done that. But like I said, that win just is going to be a bunch of confidence for them. They're going to go to the league like, hey, we finally won a match against Premier League, opponent after we beat them in the league earlier.
2 wins back to back. When was the last time?
2 wins back to back. They haven't had that for a while, so I think them pulling it off against Luton will happen. I know we didn't say it's an upset, but I honestly think Palace beating United would be big. I mean, it's always big when you beat United. It's just the team's in such turmoil right now. It's honestly hilarious. The way Newcastle just played this past Saturday, they're probably going to absolutely torture Burnley. I feel bad for Vincent Kompany. I was rooting for him, but this might be a bad loss for them. We may see 2 back-to-back, 8 goal wins for our Newcastle. Really pump up that goal difference.
Yeah, out of the teams that are in the bottom, I still feel like Burnley is the only one that has a chance to climb out of there. If you compare to Sheffield and Luton Town, I think they're the only team that can climb out of there. The bad thing is, like I say, if Everton wins against Luton Town, that's like 6 points back to back over there on the bottom of the league. Is pretty much you're set. So you don't have to worry about it until January. You'll come back and revisit your situation because I mean everybody is so poor down there, and that's playing against each other. That's huge. Having said that, If Luton Town do get their win over there, that would be not only a huge upset, that would kind of shake the entire bottom of the table and really get Everton fans worried. I think that was a huge win for them last week. But let's see if they pull it off again. So we'll be back next week, same time, hopefully talking about a Liverpool victory over here, City loss and all that kind of good stuff. But any parting words, thoughts from this past week, Shay, before we head out?
Oh, hopefully we can pull this one off this week, keep our form running. So I want to stay in that top 6.
It's been actually, yeah. I mean, I think that's funny, by the way. So do you just see that Liverpool game? Hey, that was just like, caught Liverpool on one of their good days. Because aside from that,
for sure,
the form has been great.
Yeah, like I said, they've buckled down. That's been good. Like I said, I mean, Liverpool, their top team. Like, you can't take them lightly, which I don't think we did. We just got outclassed that match. That was full strength. We got beat, and it is what it is. So hopefully we keep it up. I mean, obviously I'm worried later in the season we have to play Arsenal and City. But United are beatable this year. Maybe we can finally do it in the next. We haven't beat them in 20 freaking years, so I'm ready for that to happen. It'd be even sweeter if it was at Old Trafford, just because we have never done that either. So I'm waiting.
How about you, Alan? Do you guys stop the early bleeding and get back in action?
Yeah, let's get back in action. Let's get some W's. Let's get a win against Bournemouth. Let's get a statement win against Bournemouth. And I do want to. I did say this earlier, but Arsenal only celebrate draws when they win the league. And the last time we won a league with a draw, it was at White Hart Lane. So I want everyone to remember that. Jake and
Jake is gone now. You can stop saying.
I will still go. I didn't get to talk last week, so let me say, Tottenham can celebrate this draw as a win all they want. History is still there. We have won the league there twice now, and yeah.
Man, I was really hoping for a more eventful game. I mean, it was like I say, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I was really hoping for some drama. We knew it was going to be goals, but I really was hoping for more drama out of that. But maybe it's because it's kind of early in the season. But we'll be back next week after match week 7 to see where we're at then. Join us, same time, same place. Have an awesome week, everybody.
We'll see y'all. Bye, everybody.
Bye.